I'm Jared Greco. I wanted to make this video to show people how to sound like Geddy Lee on your bass. I get a lot of questions on my YouTube channel about how to achieve Geddy's core sound, and there are a lot of misconceptions about how to do that, so I thought I'd try to clear it up for people. Number one, you need a jazz bass. Geddy's using all jazz basses right now, except for in the early days when he had a Rickenbacker. He only uses jazz basses now. If you go to a concert, you will see about 100 jazz basses that he pulls out, but they'll all be jazz basses. People think you gotta get the Geddy Lee jazz bass. My dad let me borrow his for this video so I could show you that you do not need a Geddy Lee to sound like Geddy. That is the best jazz bass you can buy. Straight up, it just is. It plays better, it feels better, it sounds better. It's just built better. But you do not need that bass to sound like Geddy. You just need a jazz bass. The second thing you need are brand new strings. If you're gonna play on dead strings, you can forget about trying to sound like Geddy Lee. His sound is so bright and so punchy that if your strings are dead, forget about it. I'm gonna put a link up right here for what strings Geddy uses. He uses Rotosound Swing Bass 66 strings. I'm using D'Addario's, pretty much the same exact thing. They're the super bright strings. I think they last a little bit longer, and I don't change strings every single night like Geddy Lee does, so I need the length. But the main thing about Geddy's playing as of late, I mean, in the old days he would just play. He never uses a pick. He's always using two fingers, but he would just play with the very tips of his fingers and play very fast. If I try not to get eaten alive by bees, we can do this. Think of YYZ, right? It's very fast, it's very percussive. It's just he's gripping the string with the very tip of his finger, and he's right there with the next finger. It's very fast, it's very percussive. Now he's using what people call the Flamenco Technique. I don't know what to call it, so that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if I like that, or if that's a very accurate description of what he's doing. But when you see him play live now and you watch his right hand, you're not going to see the 1-2 alternating like you would with any other bass player or any of this thumb stuff. You're going to see his first finger going just like this. This is what you're going to see. And it's actually, if you look inside, he's taking the top of his finger and he's hitting the string with his nail hard. And then on the way back up, he's doing a regular pluck just with a lot more force. So it ends up doing this. You speed that up a little bit, and I'm just muting the strings right now. That's how he's getting his sound. And all it is a slap. It's just another technique to slap the string, like you would with your thumb. Just a little bit easier if you ask me. So that's all it is a weird slap technique that he's doing. Think of the Main Monkey Business, right? That's what he's doing through the whole intro of that song. I use two fingers when I do it just because I like a little bit more meat on the string, give it a fuller sound. But this is what Geddy's doing with one finger. He kind of locks his thumb in the middle instead of way up here or on the pickup. Puts it on the inner string. Really tricky at first. Once you get the hang of it, so much fun. I have a hard time controlling myself and not using it when I'm not supposed to be using it, and I'm just supposed to be being a regular bass player that people don't want all that nastiness. And that's the thing. Geddy has said in interviews when he uses this distortion, which I'm about to show you, his bass sound is gross in a bad way by itself. If you just listen to him play with his bass rig, it's not a good sound. It's because it cuts through in the band setting. It cuts through all the other noise. He's playing so many notes so quickly, he needs that treble and that punch to come through. So I'm using a Tech 21 SansAmp bass driver in the Stomp Box format, and I'll show you the link. But Geddy uses, it's just a smaller version of Geddy's preamp, which is a Tech 21 RPM SansAmp, and it's It's a really, really cool sound for Geddy, and I like it a lot. So here we get, leave that thing alone. I'll add a little distortion. I'm using that finger technique I just showed you. Pretty neat sound, and that's what he's using. That's his sound, live and on the last 3 records, and he's doing so much of this, especially on Clockwork Angels, and he's playing a lot of chords. Even when this is a 90s song, right? The Pass. Even when he's playing a standard plucking, he's hitting them so much harder than you're used to. So if you were to play this without watching this video, you're gonna play it tastefully, without buzzing, without pulling the strings too hard. But that's exactly what Geddy's doing when he's playing. He's overdriving the string. And even the regular pluck is a slap. It's coming straight down on the string and overplaying it. But that's how he's getting his sound. It's not like you need a Geddy Lee bass and his exact amp and his exact blah blah blah, and you just need bright strings, a good jazz bass, and you need to be playing the strings harder than you're used to. But this flamenco thing is everywhere in everything that he does now. Take care of it. Middle of Caravan, he does that bass solo that everybody likes to geek out about. That's all it is, just a chromatic scale with mutes. So that in slow motion, he's doing this mute thing with the flamenco. Play the note, keep doing the same thing in the right hand. Don't play a note. He does that in 7 Cities of Gold. Real slow motion. Mute. That's essentially what he's doing. But like I said, you don't need, I can remember what I'm doing. You don't need the Geddy Lee bass. This is just a jazz bass. It's made in Japan in a much nicer shop, and everything about it is better than a Mexican bass. Playing-wise, feel-wise. It's not going to make you sound any closer to Geddy Lee. It's got this badass bridge on it, which my bass is a standard Mexican with a badass bridge, which is what Geddy uses, and US vintage 60s pickups in it. Those are the only differences on my bass. This one is completely stock with this nice bridge on it. And my dad's using pressure wound strings, which aren't nearly as bright as the round wounds that I use. But that's just his preference, because he's not playing this stuff right now. So that's why he's using lighter strings. But all the same settings that I had been using. Add a little distortion. I mean, it sounds a little different. I don't know if it sounds closer to Geddy Lee or not. But it's not like you're just going to pick up this bass. You pick up this bass with no distortion, and you don't play like Geddy. You know, you just got this bass, and you're like, man, I'm going to sound like Geddy Lee now, and you sit down, and you're like, why don't I sound like Geddy Lee? It's because Geddy's going to go. I haven't played that in forever. But, take Far Cry. The whole thing is this flamenco thing. Slapping the string straight down. And then things going. Playing it in the wrong key. So take main monkey business and work around with that, 'cause that's what I did to practice this technique. And you'll get it down eventually. That's about it. If you want to sound like Geddy, you got to get your right hand working like Geddy, and you got to get your new strings. Everyone's using dead strings, and they wonder why their sound isn't that bright. That's about it. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything to ask. Leave any questions that you have about getting his tone. I'm going to send some pictures of what settings I'm using on this Tech 21. So that hopefully you can get an idea of how to get this on your own. You don't need Tech 21 either. You need any kind of distortion. This is the one he uses, but it's easier than you think. You don't need to go out and buy a new instrument. If you have your jazz bass already, put a new set of strings on there and start working with this technique. Hit the strings a lot harder than you're used to.